welcome to another LDP600WS video, and this one's a little bit different insofar as we're not looking at a video recorder, we're actually looking at a Laserdisc player. This is the Philips LDP600WS. It's a match line, so it's top of the range of its time. Around about 1993 this came out, and the manual indeed does have a copyright date of July 1993, so that does date it possibly. And the fault with this is basically it won't play any discs regardless. So if we just try a disc, I'm just going to try a CD. Oh, let's try that again. There we go. Yeah, maybe hear that it made a noise. It's trying to work out what it is and then spits it back out. Now I'm not hearing any disc spin up, so that immediately to me suggests that there is a problem with the actual spindle motor itself or the electronics that drive it. I'm sort of hoping it's the electronics that drive it, to be fair. Okay, so before we take it apart, let's put it into test mode and just see what we can do with it. Need to put a disc in first and basically let the disc go in and then pull the power so it doesn't have a chance to eject it again. Now, for test mode, you've got to have the remote control because the remote actually gives you different options. Keys 1 to 6, I think it is. Manual here. So, got various options. On the page, it's key 0. The focusing operation can be switched on and off. Each press of 0 toggles that. The tilt servo switched on and off using key 1. The forward search toggled on and off with key 2. Key 3 is the reverse search, toggled on or off. Key 4 is the tracking servo, which again could be toggled on or off. Key 5, which is the one we're going to be checking, the spindle servo can be switched on. And the letter M. Press the random key to make the letter M disappear. In order to turn off the spindle motor, yes. So an M will appear when spindle motor is running. 6, check modes, automatically sequence 6 is pressed. I haven't actually tried that. All LCD segments light up for 1 second. Super, so that toggles that. So to get it into test mode, you have to press play and pause at the same time and then plug in the power. I'm just going to close that because I don't want it potentially getting broken. Okay, and on the screen you'll get 4 sets of 2 numbers, and those numbers basically correspond to, let's have a look. So part A, which is the 00 on the left there. So basically shows whether it's in part mode, open mode, setup mode, play mode, skip mode. Part B, which is the 8E there. 8E is actually slider motor servo, open, the open state. 80 is closed, 81 is high speed, and 00 is off. And then C and D, they basically tell you where the various bits and pieces are on or off, like focus, scan, tilt servo, and whether there's a laser disc or CD. So at the moment it's saying there's a CD in there, which is actually quite interesting. So it knows there's a CD in there even though it's not spun up. So I have to have a look at that. And the AC there, part D, is basically the tracking and the T-count divider. So yes, so let's get the remote, and first thing I want to try is 6 actually. Okay, so let's try 6. I've forgotten one vital thing. So before we do anything, we need to press random to see, so we can run the tests on the remote. And 6. So there's 6. You can see the display is totally running. Well, it's running through a test sequence. Which is quite cool, I suppose. And then pressing 6 again will bring it out of that and put it back. So I'm now going to try and run the spindle motor. So you see that I've got the M up, it's trying to play, and there's nothing. You can't hear anything from the motor at all. So 0-4 on the left there, 0-4. So setup mode, it's in setup mode. 80, side of motor servo open, which you'd expect. But yeah, it's not doing anything, and I suspect it will probably error in a minute. Yeah, no, it's just not doing anything. Right, so we'll pull the power off and let's get it apart. Top cover removed, it's 2 screws either side, and then there's 3 on the back. So yeah, it's a little bit more effort to get this apart, I suppose. Yeah, so let's plug it in and just see what happens when we press play. You can see there's absolutely no rotation at all. And then it just opens up the tray. So yeah, not working. So let's just close that again, put it standby. Yeah, lovely. So it's looking more and more like it is the spindle motor or the associated circuitry. Now, the way this is laid out, I've got power supply here. This is actually multi-voltage, so it's 110, 120, 240 and 220 volts. Switchable on the back. Got a transformer, so no switch mode power supply to detect what the voltage is or adjust accordingly. Top, I believe, is RGB board. Below is servicing, so let's lift this up. So below is the, yeah, this is the video board. And then under here, this is the bottom of the power supply. Under here is the board probably we're going to be most looking at, which is the servo control board. And it really is quite buried under there. Logic here, there's a battery, I believe, just under there. Some more digital processing there. I don't know what that actually is, to be fair. Looks like it's got RAM chips on it. But the other slightly interesting thing about it is you've got mains voltage here, so you're getting pretty close to mains voltage if you're working on this with the bottom off. The bottom, by the way, taking that off, it's literally screws here, 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 and here, and you've got to take these front feet off as well. But the back feet don't have to come out of the case, so they can just stay on. So this is the spindle motor. What might be nice is first thing is just to see if there's any voltage on it. Put the meter on it and see what happens. Okay, so what I need to do, I've just got this to ground, and these two bits of metal in these plastic assemblies here, these I believe are the brushes. So I should be able to see if there's anything coming through here. I have actually got access to the voltage coming into the motor. Let's try on the brushes first. So I'm going to turn it on, and I've got to be fairly quick. So that's where it should be showing something. So let's just try on the other pin in case there's a grounding issue. So there's nothing. Okay, so let's try it on here. I expect this to be the same. In fact, we can actually do a bit of a check by just going across here. And I'm just going to pull the power while I do this. Try and turn the camera over. So let's just see what is going on here. It's an ohm. So that's dead short there. It's about an ohm. And then that's the other side. So there's an ohm difference between that and that. So with that, I'm pretty confident that this motor is probably okay. And I've got resistance across it, about 8-ish ohms, 7.5 ohms. So I'm thinking it's going to be the electronics that drive this. So let's strip it apart and see what we can find. So my thought with this, originally I was going to attack the board from underneath, but as you can see, especially as I have to run the machine to check everything, I think I'd be much better off maybe trying to get to it from the top. Now to do that, I need to remove the RGB board, and I need to have the tray open so I can reach the board. So it's not that easy for access if you want to run it to test the various parts. And of course the slight problem I have as well is that obviously I need to sort of have the tray closed to then measure certain voltages, but I'm hoping that I'll find the fault without actually having to do that. So yeah, let's crack on and see if that's the way forward. Let's power on, and yeah, and obviously I've got a slight problem with the end sensing. Switch, possibly, I don't know, we'll see. So let's take the power off, and yes, move you there. Now I think this board comes out, or is able to be moved out the way just that little bit easier. Yeah. Okay, so I think I'm going to take the ribbon cable off the, oops, off the laser unit first. And then get to this. There's a little plastic retainer which is holding down the plastic. this is not an easy thing to work on in many ways, because how do I test the board if I can't run the machine and get a probe in? So a bit of oohing and ahhing about this one, trying to work out what is going on, basically, how this is set out. So this board here, this has nothing to do with the spindle motor. It deals mainly with the loading motors, the sled motor, and yeah, it's nothing at all to do with the spindle motor. So the spindle motor, after a lot of head scratching and looking at the manual, and honestly I just completely missed it. The actual motor control unit for it is actually on the power supply. It's actually a stand-up board here. So what I need to do is do some checks around that. So yeah, I'm going to put everything back together, I think, and then start again. Oh, incidentally, for access, if, as per the manual, you put the machine on the side with the transformer at the bottom, you can actually remove the board and get in to do some voltage checks. You can run the machine with these two connectors that come up to these two panels absolutely fine to check logic, but you can also plug these in, and there's still enough room to get in. It's tight, but there's still enough room, so it actually isn't that bad at all. But yeah, just thought I'd share that. Here's the spindle drive board removed. Luckily it's on a plug and socket arrangement. And slight problem I have, I mean, I've done a quick check through, just check all the components are okay, and that fusible resistor there is actually still good, which it is. And yeah, I spotted one dodgy joint, although it tested fine on the meter, so I've redone that. It's a bit blobby, but it's a good contact now. And so I'm going to pop this back in. Now, the slight problem with this, and the manual doesn't help very much with this, to be honest, that I can see anyway, is that you've got all this lovely data here telling you what everything should be. But once it's in the machine, as it goes this way round and plugs in, you've got no way of actually seeing which is which, and there's nothing on the bottom, plugs in here, to tell you. So what I've done is I've actually scanned it, scanned the back of it, so I've got all the pinouts straight to hand. So yeah, that's handy. That capacitor there also looked as if it had been a bit hot at some point, but I've whipped it out, checked it, and it's absolutely fine. It's obviously the sleeve is not that well put on, but I was just a little bit suspicious of it because it is so close to that heatsink there, that maybe it might have been a bit cooked, but no, it's absolutely fine, so I'm happy with that. Well, as far as the meter says anyway, we'll soon find out. So I'm going to put the board back in, and then we'll do some checks to see what voltages are there, and if anything's missing and what's going on. Okay, so I think I've set you up fairly well here. So basically, the connector's here, and we've got the meter here, so I'm just going to power it on. Hopefully I've done everything right. Super. So let's measure some voltages. So that's 5 volts. Third one along should be the 14 volt. It's actually a little bit high, that's fine. then we've got a ground, then we've got minus 14. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 16 minus 16. Wow. We've got another 5-volt rail, which is VD. Okay. So take that from there. It's a little bit low. We've got another 5-volt rail, which is there. That's fine. We've got the motor. Then we've got another 5-volt there. So those voltages are all there. So there's the motor output, motor plus. So turn it back on. And I have nothing. So this is really interesting. So I think what I need to do is go through the logic side of things. So 2, 3, 4, 5. So is that the right? So 5. It's actually rather high. There's something odd going on with this power supply, I think. Possibly. That voltage there, it's about 2 volts. That should be 0.5, minus 0.5, and it's actually minus 2. Could be my ground reference, maybe, but especially as they're all a little bit out. Okay, so if I go back here, 5 volts. I think I might have done that wrong. Let's try that motor again, because it's actually these 2 pins. So there's nothing there. It should really be spinning up. So DBP, and I'm just doing this more for me, to be honest, because I just want to see what each of the 4 data rails are actually doing. So DBP is nothing. I've got 5 volts on DBN. Constant. Drops in standby. DAP. DAN, which also drops when in standby. So the reset is this pin here. No, it's not. It's this pin here. and that's going high. Interesting. Okay, well, I think what I'm going to do, it's going to be a bit of a short video. It's a busy week as well. So I'm probably going to leave this here, do a bit more research just on the whole, basically read the manual. I'm not used to Philips manuals anymore. I've not used one for probably 20 odd years. So yeah, I'm a bit rusty on how Philips do it compared to Sony. I've never been a big fan of the Philips service manuals. I find them a little bit confusing and not very clear. And it's just what you're used to. So the Japanese manuals I tend to find much more logical to me anyway, and a lot clearer. So I need to go through that manual, really get a handle on what that manual is telling me, and then come back and check that module. I'm a little bit concerned those voltages are a little bit all over the place, although they're not bad, but it just feels as if maybe there could be a power supply issue there, maybe. But I'm sort of going more on the side of an issue with that board, possibly a logic issue, although I doubt it, because everything else works and it's giving me the right information when I put it in test mode. So in part 2, hopefully we'll get this going. And if you have experience with these, I mean, I've only repaired, it's probably the third one I've repaired ever. And the second one I actually didn't fix because the laser was bad. But yeah, I've got very little experience with these, and that's why I thought it was fun to share, fun to have a look at, and nice to see me scratching my head, really not having a clue what I'm doing relatively compared to the beaters. So yeah, if you have experience with these, and I don't know why I'm feeling this is sort of possibly a common fault with these. But I could be wrong. I mean, that motor has a lot of work to do, especially with a video disc itself. Yeah, I need to just really get to the bottom of how this all works and how that lines up with the manual. And then, yeah, hopefully we'll get it going. Otherwise, it's a really nice deck. So, yeah, I'm sure we'll get it going. So with that, part 2 will be along in a week or two. And in the meantime, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. And see you in another video. Bye for now.